So the season is finally over. And believe me, the whole team is glad about that. The entirety of the playoffs went on without us, and we were probably about 25 wins from even getting the chance to be there. But whatever, we'll be back soon enough. As for awards, NBA teams, we don't get any of those. I mean, we were a team full of John Wall, Kelly Olynyk, and DJ Augustine. What did you expect? But I don't much mind all of that because we'll get our awards soon enough. But we've got to move past everyone else and get to the draft lottery. Guess what? We still weren't the worst team in the league despite winning 24 games. So San Antonio, congrats to you because that is something special right there. There were some things we had to take care of though, like if our pick falls outside of the top 4, it'll go to OKC, not the Nets. The Bulls pick will go to Orlando unless that pick falls within the top 4. Other than that, everything's good. That Detroit pick we're slated to have is also top 16 protected for the next few years, so it's pretty much worthless to us unless they somehow make the playoffs. But no, we do not have the potential 5th pick. Everything else is pretty normal, and there's actually a shocking amount of staying put in this lottery, especially for these new odds. But the Pistons fall victim to the Cavs moving into the top 4. Let's just hope we don't get screwed. That means the Thunder are slated to go 5th. Nope, it's the Magic. That means we will keep our pick this year. It's just a matter of where it falls. They have the Cavs at 3 now, but no, it's the Spurs. So we are getting a top 2 pick. Do you know what this means? And wow, we get the number 2 overall pick. And the Cavaliers get another number 1 pick. Ignore the fact that the Thunder have our pick, it's actually ours. So we are guaranteed one of Evan Mobley or Cade Cunningham. This is really exciting for our franchise. But we know about the top prospects and all that. But we still have basically 3 more first round picks. We've got the Portland pick at 19, the Bucks pick at 27, and the 32nd pick, which is our own second round pick. So with all these picks, who are we going to take? Well, with the 19th pick, I'm looking at Moses Moody. Moses Moody would be a perfect addition to this team. He's a shooter who does very well in catch and shoot situations, but he can also hit some pull-up jumpers without dribbling all that much. He's also capable of finishing some straight line drives, but don't expect him to be some 3-level scorer. But he's 6'6", 205, 7-foot wingspan. Should be a very good wing to have who can play some defense for us and do a little bit more than just sit in the corner. In a similar position, I've also been looking at Franz Wagner. He understands the game very well, whether that means knowing where to be, knowing where to find his teammates, understanding pace, spacing. He just has a really solid basketball IQ. He's a 6'9" wing who's very crafty and will probably be an elite 3-point shooter in the NBA. He's not super athletic or anything, but he definitely moves well for a 6'9" guy and can stay with his man for the most part. He's got a bit more to his game than Moody and definitely has more potential as a 3-level scorer. I'd be happy with either, and if it came down to it, we'd probably select Franz over Moody, but I'll be happy with either one of them. I'm not in love with any of the late prospects with the 27th pick. I didn't grab anything about Keontae Johnson, but he's an athlete, slasher, has the potential to be a decent defender. If we can get a decent jump shot on him, he'll be a really good wing to have. But one guy that I really want, who is slated to go late in the second round, is Luka Garza. That's right, the 6'10", 265-pound Big Ten Player of the Year behemoth. He's a fantastic college player. His brute strength around the basket is something else, and he's got a really good touch to go with that. His jump shot is very good, and it's only going to get better with NBA training and practice time. The big problem, and what really has him here in the second round, is his mobility, and in the fact that he lacks any at all. He'll probably be a decent post defender with his pure strength and size, but anything else, he's likely going to get torched. So it could be brutal pick and roll defense, but for a second round pick, I think he's got a lot of potential for us off the bench. But let's go ahead and get to the actual draft. The Cavs have the first pick, and wow, they took Jalen Green first overall. What does this mean for Colin Who cares though? Do you know what this means? Well, I mean, let me take a look at the prospects first because I don't know, just making sure. Just kidding. Are you crazy? We are selecting Cade Cunningham. So thank you, Cleveland. Not sure why you did that, but I will absolutely take it. It's not all bad for the other teams, though. The Spurs get Evan Mobley. The Thunder pair Jalen Suggs with Shea. That'll be a great duo. I actually kind of want to see that in real life. The Magic get Kuminga, who is a very Orlando Magic prospect. But before we get to our 19th pick, Moody goes 11th overall to the Pacers, so that sucks. And then to make matters worse, Franz goes 15th overall to the Raptors. And so now I have no idea who I'm going to take. We do end up going with Daishen Nix, I hope I pronounced that right, who you can't see on the screen either way because 2K won't show him. But he's a 6'5 point guard who is a very good ball handler and passer with some potential as a scorer at the rim. He might have a jump shot eventually. He should prove to be a good backup point guard. Then with the 27th pick, we end up taking Keontae Johnson, who I already talked about as being a solid potential wing. And then we do end up trading back to like the 45th pick or something to take Luka Garza. And I'm happy with our draft, despite some things not going exactly as planned. Here's the first 15 picks of the draft, though, just in case you're curious on who went there. I think a lot of people will be happy with who they ended up with. This is looking to be a pretty good draft class. But now we have free agency to deal with. And even before the draft, I've been on the phones pretty heavily. I've had big discussions with Miami and Dallas. Miami asked about Daniel House, considering they don't have a forward behind Jimmy at this point, and I added in DJ Augustine by adding a second round pick. He can be used as salary matching during the season, and he isn't a bad point guard. I think he'll fit in Miami, especially for this price. And then for the Mavericks, they've been on my phone all throughout the year. There were some talks about Eric Gordon to Dallas towards the beginning of the last season, but the injury derailed any talks. Luka needs another perimeter option next to him. And while Trey Burke does have his moments, they need a consistent option. Gordon is also a decent defender, which could help take some pressure off of Luka. I think he's a great fit for them. And despite some potential injury concerns, I think for the price, they're getting a really good deal here. So now post-trades, we've got $27 million in cap space, and I've got a few guys in mind. We talked about guys like Otto Porter, Devontae Graham, Lonzo Ball, but with us drafting Nix and Johnson, and most importantly, Cade Cunningham, I want them to get the most opportunity possible. So adding a fourth point guard in Graham or Ball and a third or fourth wing in Porter would take that opportunity away from them. At this stage in our rebuild, we're still about growth. So I decided to offer Gary Trent Jr. a 1+ team option deal for a little over $18 million a year. I know it's a lot, but this is the amount of money we've got to pay for a 1+ team option deal. We've also drafted a bunch of guys with questionable jump shots, so the elite spacing he'll provide is very valuable to us. Then for some spacing off the bench at the 4th spot, we're bringing in Bjelica. He's been okay, and he might regress, but either way, he should be okay for a price this low. But the defense could be pretty bad considering Garza and Bjelica in the same front court off the bench. We might have to do some shaking up around the lineup to make sure it's not a complete disaster. As for the rest of the league, there wasn't a ton of shakeup at the top, but teams like the Pistons were very busy getting Lonzo and Fournier. So for those curious, here's all that. But we had a pretty good offseason ourselves. We added several good players with a lot of potential, and while we may not be great this season, I think we're setting ourselves up to have a very good future.